Welcome back to Weaponized. We're here, of course, with episode 5, bringing you the weekly news and all sorts of things around the industry. And, we've had a lot of comments. So, come on, Sony's trying this, Sony's trying that. And they had every opportunity to let us sit here and talk for 2 hours this week about what an incredible state of play we had and all these amazing first party games coming. And we got a 3 out of 10 show. So today is going to be talking about that. So I got to kick it off. What'd you think of the show, Rain?
I was not very pleased with it. I thought it was extremely disappointing. I was very excited about Digimon because I had heard about it earlier from the GameStop leak. So I was like, oh my God, it has to be here. Why would it show up today? This is a sequel to Hacker's Memory. It's not literally like a chronological sequel as far as I'm concerned, but it is going to be by the same development team. Media Vision is, I think, their name. It's one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, like full stop, which is crazy. Digimon is probably the thing that I like the most out of any of the monster catching, monster hunting, whatever. Like just period. I like Digimon more than Pokemon, which is crazy because I'm actually a really big Pokemon fan. But I feel like the formula of Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth is the best formula they've ever had. That was exciting for me. Sonic Racing, I was excited for that mainly just because I really like All Stars Racing Transformed. The Jet the Hawk reveal where he was on the board and then they showed like Sonic doing tricks on the board. Man, the Extreme Gear stuff, I'm excited about that. They have tricks even in the cars, which is really interesting. It looks like All Stars Racing Transformed fused with Sonic Riders. So looks epic. People who are saying it's going to be better than Mario Kart 9, stop it. Wake up. Like, Neo, wake up. Neo, wake up. I'm Morpheus right now. Wake up, guys. They don't have the capabilities. They don't have the capabilities and they don't have the direction to do something like that, okay? Just accept what you got and don't expect anything more. It's okay. They're used to slop anyway. So they'll be fine with it if it's bad. Lost Soul aside, bro, I think that game is completely directionless. I'm so sorry. I mean, the dude was trying to do a Final Fantasy 15 clone. I mean, he was really, interested in making a 15 versus 13 type of video game. And he obviously took like 10 years to do it. Mind you, he did it pretty much all by himself until he was acquired by Sony. Ulti Zero Games was created. I'm not going to go into my history with Bing Yang because I do have a history with him. But, it just looks like a directionless game. It looks directionless. I'm tired of DMC clones, honestly. I'm just not interested. I think people love DMC games and, DMC 5 is epic. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It's probably one of the best DMC games ever made next to 3. I mean, 4 is great too. Let's be for real. I mean, they have some good games, but let's not talk about 2. Let's not talk about 2. We're not going to talk about 2. Tides of Annihilation. There you go. That's the name of the game. Made by some studio I've never heard of. Eclipse Glow Games, whatever. I don't know who that is. All these like Chinese and Korean video games that are being shown at the State of Play. I mean, I love Lies of P. I think that's probably the game that has just the most direction out of that country, just out of South Korea. Like, Lies of P was an incredible video game. We've been waiting for the DLC to come out for quite some time, so them showing Overture. I mean, I know the music's going to be sick. That was like Maximilian Dude's game of the year. Can you believe that? Like, he thought that game was goated. I don't think it's that good. I would probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I think it was pretty good, but that was cool. I mean, otherwise, the Saros game that is like a Returnal, like kind of sequel, that looks okay. Days Gone Remastered, what a huge mistake. Sony, let's stop it. Days Gone. Travion, go. like Travion, go. I'm not doing that, okay? I'm not interested in Days Gone. I don't know what happened. I thought they shut that studio down. That's just not a good game. I don't know. They could have did Bloodborne or something. I don't know what's going on with Bloodborne. Nobody really has a good answer for me that makes any sense. So, bro, I'm not going to lie. It was mid. Overall, it was mid. Sony has lost their direction, in my opinion. They have too much reliance on third party. I'm just not interested, bro. There's a lot of stuff I'm just not interested in. There's very few games that I'm going to play, and they're going to be on PC. So Sorry for taking up the airtime. I would love to hear your thoughts.
No, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I think that's about going to do it for the episode. I mean, we went through every game. No, I'm kidding. But I think, I kind of want to dive into some of these games because I think it's just really interesting. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think it was a pretty, I don't know, it was a pretty underwhelming show. And, I think you look at the show that Microsoft had last month. That was a great show. Doom, all the stuff that they showed off was really great. Ninja Gaiden 4. And then Sony drops this egg. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, this is not the time to be dropping eggs if you're in PlayStation's position, considering Switch 2 is about to blow the doors off in April.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think the big picture thing here that really rings loudly to me is the fact that, Sony's canceled all these games as a service games, and to the point where it's basically confirmed that they're not going to release. I mean, this isn't confirmed, but in my mind it is. You are not getting any other PlayStation games this year except for Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2. And Death Stranding 2 isn't really even a first-party game. So really, you're getting one first-party game from Sony this year. And that could definitely change, don't get me wrong. But it really is concerning if Ghost of Yotei is like coming out before July, let's say, and they did not show the date, but they decided to show a 2026 game instead. That makes no sense. So for me, I think most likely Death Stranding is going to be August, September, sometime around there, maybe even later in the fall. And then Ghost of Yotei will be October and November. And you can flip those games around, but those are going to be the blocks for launch for both of these games. So I really just don't think you should go in expecting more games from Sony. I think it's going to be a really quiet year. Lost Soul aside is, first quote unquote party. So that's your May game. That's your one game for the first half of the year.
Sorry, I can't.
That's it. No. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of questions going on with Sony right now, I think, and they're super valid. I mean, well, I guess you get Days Gone remastered too. I only know one person who's excited for that, and he's obsessed with Days Gone. Good for him. Good for you, Peter. I don't know what else to say.
Go. I played Days Gone a few days ago. I just want to take that day back.
I don't know, man. Sony's just clearly relying on third party right now, and I think State of Play historically has done heavy third party. But to me, it's like, okay, but if you have these games, why are you not showing them?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm kind of really upset still that we didn't get a Death Stranding trailer. We've been waiting for a year.
It's insane.
Haven't gotten anything. I mean, I'm going to assume that we're going to get the trailer at South by Southwest, which I'm really mad because I was like, oh my gosh, Kojima's coming to Texas. I could finally see Kojima. And then I looked at the prices and I totally forgot, like, how bad South by Southwest is priced.
Yeah.
But it's like $2,000.
It's a lot of money.
$2,000 to go.
It's a whole lot of money.
It's ridiculous. And I don't want to go to Austin. I don't like Austin. But
I had a dream that I accidentally ended up in Austin, and I was like, why am I here? Like, get me out of here.
There's a football team in Austin I'm not too fond of, and they don't like me and I don't like them. So I don't like Austin. But no, I'm kidding. I've been to Austin. It's a nice place. I almost got mugged on 6th Street twice in like a span of an hour, so I've never been back because I'm like, screw this. So yeah, go whatever. Anyways, beyond the point of geography, PlayStation's in a bad place, and whether you agree with that or not, there's definitely going to be people online that are like, I thought that was a solid show, and hey, that's totally fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I don't know how you can look at this show and be like, for PlayStation specifically, this is a good show, because it was not. It was not.
It felt like a summer games fest type of thing where they're just showing everything and just showing anything. Sony has this supreme reliance on third parties that is very disturbing, because there was a point in time where they were the first party king. We had Sly Cooper, we had Jak and Daxter, we had Ratchet and Clank. We had these games coming out like almost every other year. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes even in every
PS4.
Year. Yeah.
Like we had Uncharted and God of War and all these games, and now it's like you're lucky to get 1 or 2 games a year. And part of that's development costs for sure. But I also think Sony's just creatively bankrupt.
They are creatively bankrupt. They are. And they've put too much stock into this formula that they've created of just making the same type of game with a different skin. Mind you, I think God of War is great. It's kind of like an action RPG. It's difficult. It's fun. I like God of War, but I feel like they've become very, very safe
It's
ever
very
since Uncharted
safe.
came out. Like
Oh
ever
yeah.
since Uncharted came out, they've started to become safer and safer and safer. Man, there was a point in time where they just had these raunchy, just crazy games, dude. Like they just did not care. They were throwing out whatever. It was selling, and it was culturally significant stuff. I don't feel like Uncharted is culturally significant. I just don't. And I don't think it's a bad series. I think it's a great series, right? I think it's a great series, but I don't think that it's culturally significant. I think when they started making these live action Hollywood flicks
Yes.
turned into video games, they think they're Kojima, I guess. I don't know what they're doing, but
Well,
they're
you
not.
have Dr. Uckman and all that team.
Oh, yeah. I don't even want
That's
to talk
beyond the
about that
point.
guy, dude.
Yeah,
Dr.
but
Uckman.
they're sitting here, and I think you're definitely onto something with they've become safe because most of their games follow the same formula. It's an action third person game. Like almost every single one of their games they put out, like Ghost of Yote, action game, third person. For Horizon, action game, third person. God of War, action game, third person. I mean, that's all their studios make. There's no creativity. It's literally, I don't know, man. And it's definitely hard because I don't think it's just Sony. I really do think this is a problem that just plagues the West in general. But it's hard for me to fully commit to that when I'm seeing, and it's crazy saying this, but like, look at Xbox's lineup. We just got Indiana Jones, a first person stealth adventure game. They Avowed is coming out, like a first person RPG tomorrow, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday, I think. And then, all these other games. And it's like they have such a bigger variety in their lineup that actually promotes creativity. South of Midnight coming out. South of Midnight looks super unique. And I just wish that Sony and their studios would go towards this. And I mean, even then, our talk of them being creatively bankrupt is proven by the fact that they canceled gas games from every single studio. I mean, that's what everyone was working on, was a game as a service. It's crazy. Like the live service reliance is incredible, and it's just something that is going to plague them for years to come. I mean, Ben Studio, for example, after Days Gone, they started working on a live service game. It was canceled. So now, for the entire PlayStation 5 era, basically, that it's, the main console, I would be shocked if Ben Studio releases anything at all. You're going to get Days Gone Remastered. That's it. Like, that is crazy. And think about all these other studios. Bluepoint. Bluepoint made the incredible Demon's Souls remake that was so well received, was just brilliant. And then they got turned around to help on God of War. They didn't get to develop their own game. Then they're like, you know what? You guys are going to do a God of War games as a service game. And that got canceled. And so now it's been 5 years since Demon's Souls, or I guess in November it will be. And Bluepoint has no game. And if they do, they just started working on it. So there's no way it comes out until like 2028 at the earliest. I mean, how is that sustainable as an industry? It really isn't.
It's sad that they feel the necessity to put so much money into nothing. Like we could have so many games with the amount of money that they're spending on just one video game.
350
Right.
million Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that is disgusting. It's unbelievable. I cannot believe that they spend so much money on these just, oh my God, it's Spider-Man. He has aura. Like, I don't get it. I'm just not understanding it. Like, I don't understand it. How is this making you more money? How is this a good strategy?
Dude, Horizon Forbidden West cost $212 million to make.
And who can tell me the story of that game? I mean,
Well,
I'm sure
dude,
somebody
that's the
can.
thing, bro. No. Let me tell you the story because I thought it was ridiculous.
Okay.
Here's the thing. So I played Horizon Zero Dawn years ago, and I was like, I think it's an all right game, like 7.5 for me, probably. Like I think it's a good game, but it's nothing. It does nothing amazing. I thought it had a really cool world, and it had a really cool idea of how these robots and stuff like that. But in reality, like it just kind of falls flat after a while because there's nothing really there with the story beyond the fact of figuring out like what happened and what caused this to happen. It kind of is just like whatever. I never got interested in Aloy as a character.
Right.
And Forbidden West came out, I bought it on day one just because PlayStation had no games at that point. Like that was a new game coming out. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll indulge. So I bought it, I played it, and I was blown away with the visuals, with the set pieces. I mean, they have a set piece where you're diving under the water and then you go to this desert that is where Las Vegas used to be, and it's incredible. It's incredible stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful game, but I sat here and I'm like, wow, like the story picks up right from Forbidden West and just jumps off a cliff.
Yeah.
Because now, and if you don't want to listen about this, skip a few, probably 20 seconds, but all of a sudden it turns out that the people from Earth survived and they went to space and they came back. And so the third game is set up to where all these people, these rich people from Earth are coming back from space and they're here to take back the planet or something. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's wild.
But I don't know. Horizon just, I don't know. That's my problem with Sony's games. It's like I play games from other developers that were made for a fraction of the cost, and they play and feel like they were so much better, so much a higher budget. And you just don't feel that with Sony. And budget isn't everything, but I think you have to talk about it when you consider the wasteful spending that is occurring. I mean, the fact that they greenlit, they've canceled 12 games or something. I mean,
Yeah.
Naughty Dog was working on The Last of Us Online, and then they canceled it. And it's like, how many millions of dollars did they waste? Who knows? I mean, who knows?
It's sad. It's sad. I feel like the management is just all messed up. They have to just reconstruct that whole thing, man. Like, there's no way. I can't even imagine like the optics behind these decisions, because how does that even make sense? Like, if you said they broke even on Spider-Man 2 and they made a bit extra, right? I mean, but
Yeah.
they could have made so many more games and got the same amount of sales. I mean, Nintendo does it.
For sure.
Nintendo does it. They get mad sale. I was about to say another word. They get mad sales and they don't spend nearly as much money. I would assume. I mean, there's no way. It's all graphics, bro. It's all graphics and facial
graphics
animations and like, who is having this war? I mean, I feel like this war is over with.
It's funny because, we talked about this a while back, but, Final Fantasy VII was really the game that started the graphics war per se. But
Right.
you look at like PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, the improvements are so minimal. And I mean, they're definitely there, but it's like, we've peaked in terms of graphics. The adjustments now are just so finite. And to chase visuals so much on PlayStation is so funny to me because it's like most people want frame rate. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. Most people want frame rate. And, I think that there's so many companies out there that do such a good balance of both. But then you just see like, okay, how can we make the best visuals? And then you end up spending that money. And really, the sad part about it all is like the mismanagement behind all these budgets and titles and everything is the reason that all these people have gotten laid off. It's the truth.
It's true.
I mean, all these people who have lost their jobs, like, do you seriously think that, I mean, we've already seen this, we already know what happened, but like at Sony, do you seriously think after canceling all those games that no one was going to get laid off? No, they laid off a bunch of people as a result of it. I mean, they did. And it was, I don't remember the number of employees, but like all across the industry, this is happening where these companies are just laying off people. And, again, you can point to game development where it's proven that, keeping teams together speeds up development and lowers cost. I mean, we just saw, we've talked about the remake trilogy, and with Square Enix, they've kept that team together. They managed to put out DLC and a sequel from FF7 Remake in 4 years. I mean, that doesn't happen. Rebirth was made in 3 years. It's probably the biggest game Square's ever made. And they did it because they kept the team together and they didn't go crazy and exorbitant with the budget, and they just focused on what they're good at. And, I think that companies in the West, and Sony in particular, although they're not a Western company, their studios in the West can really learn from that and build towards, sustainable development, because it's just not a thing today. It really isn't.
I think we should just gut it. Like, just gut it, bro. Gut that whole thing. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the current Sony. I have a video coming out very soon about how I feel about just the state of play. I mean, I was making this video before state of play, and then I was like, hold on, let me just wait till state of play. Maybe they'll show me something that will change my mind. And they didn't. And then I have people arguing with me. Literally, right before I jumped in this podcast, I was having a conversation with Trey about this very thing. Like, oh, people's expectations are just too high. And it's like, no, they're not. This is
They're
supposed to
really
be the
not.
pinnacle of all consoles. This is supposed to be the biggest, the most expensive. They have the best games, right? No, they don't. No, they don't. They haven't had the best games for a very long time. Their games are at least better than Xbox's have been, but Xbox has a lot on the plate. They have a lot coming, right? Nintendo has been on top for a long time. Now, I know some people don't consider Nintendo, especially the normies that really just think, oh my God, the video games have to have good graphics. That's a good game, man. Have you played God of War Ragnarok? Have you seen the graphics? Like, we don't care. I mean, it's a great game, but dude, real game players, I'm not going to say gamers, real ball knowers, we're not sitting here like, oh my God, bro, like, have you seen the ray tracing on Spider-Man 2, bro? I just can't wait to play that and it get old in 5 seconds. Like, I do not care. I just
The
don't
graphics
care.
thing is real. I
No,
mean,
I
it
know.
really is.
That
Like, people, you'll look at
conversation-
YouTube comments, dude. It's like people are like, wow, these are the best graphics I've ever seen. This is easily going to be game of the year. It's like, if that's really where we are as a society, that's sad.
It is sad, dude. And it started probably around the PS3 and Xbox 360 era, but it really got egregious around the PS4 and the Xbox One
Yeah.
when there was the resolution battle and the frame rate battle and
Teraflops.
YouTubers start exactly, bro. Because not a lot of people had Elgatos and Avermedias and Hop Hogs back in the PS3 and 360 days, but then everybody started getting all these capture cards in the PS4. And you know what? They could upload their footage with the Share Factory, and they were just like, guys, look at the frame rate comparisons between these two. Look, this one's 900p and this one's 720p. You should get the PS4, and it's like, bro, the PS4 honestly had one of the worst just console experiences of my life. I mean, it's not as bad as the PS5, but I just hate how streamlined it is, right? I loved the community features on the Xbox One. I loved the community features on the Xbox One, right? And so, bro, I'm not saying I'm a big Xbox fan, but I like the Xbox UI more. I'm sorry. I feel like Xbox is just doing a lot more there, in my opinion.
It's more homey.
It is
like,
more homey. It feels like I'm going
just,
home.
I did not have a PlayStation until PS4. And I grew up on 360 and Xbox One, really Nintendo stuff primarily. But 360 was like my big console I played so many hours on. But I'm like, man, the 360 was such a good console. It's seriously such
legendary.
a good console. All the stuff that they had on it, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And it's like, even today, we talked about this last week, how companies have kind of just stripped back and removed personalization from consoles, right? And in efforts of making it sucks. In efforts of making like a streamlined experience. And in Sony's case, talking about where they are right now and why they're failing, quite frankly, and what they could be living up to, the real reality of that is basic business. And I think there's a really great case study. There's a lot of great case studies, but like with traditional business, you sit down and if you own a business, you will be better off with a large competitor. It's funny. Their Coca-Cola CEO in the past has said along the lines of like, we wouldn't exist or be popular without Pepsi. And it's funny because you're like, well, Coke's Coke is like, oh, that's the big brand. Everyone goes to Coke. But it's actually, in a way, Pepsi has propelled Coke in the same sense that Coke has propelled Pepsi. And they're rivals and they push each other to be better and they have to keep outperforming one another. And so in the console space right now, Microsoft, let's be honest, Xbox Series S, while it's a great concept, failed with developers. And that's solely because they split the SKUs and developers aren't allowed to release Xbox Series X only games. They have to fine-tune the games for Xbox Series S. And as a result, that's kind of drove developers to, not publishing on Xbox. And it's not good for them. And, their exclusive situation is a whole nother story. But, I mean, Xbox Series X and S right now are nowhere even close. I think it's, double. The PS5 is basically sold double of what Series X and S
100%.
have.
Yeah, it has.
And it's like, they just announced it sold 74.9 or 75 million units. And Sony as a company is worse off because Microsoft is not right there, sharpening the iron. Iron sharpens iron, and they don't have a rival right there next to them, pushing them to be better. So they've gotten lazy. They've gotten, complacent with their situation. And you see that across their entire business. There's no pushing to make things better or more attractive for people on the platform. They're solely committed to just, hey, we're on top of the game. We're the best. We don't got to do anything. And you don't have Xbox there, competing with them right next, shoulder by shoulder anymore because of the console sales. And that's a really bad thing for the industry. I think people, console wars are hilarious because it's just ridiculous. But people don't realize that, the console war, quote unquote, or whatever, that's a really big deal for the business perspective because, again, rivalries are so important to make businesses better. And in PlayStation's case, it's like, I don't really know. I don't really know where they're going to go or what's going to happen. And it's kind of funny because, I don't really believe that PS5 is generating a ton of new users. I think most people buying PS5s are upgrading, or, I would say probably 10%, maybe 20% of their base is new. That's it. And that's not great. And I think most of the new players, entering the market are going to PC. I really do.
It's true.
They don't have they don't have competition. Sony doesn't in the console space, realistically. So how are they going to, react to that? They're not. And I think that we as an industry are just worse off without competition.
I agree. The public doesn't really see Xbox anymore.
No.
Me working as a technician, I always see PlayStations come in my store and I never see Xboxes. And it just shows me they break the same way. They have kind of the same core issues because they're fairly similar pieces of technology. Outside of the exterior, they're fairly similar pieces of technology, right? But they both have a serious issue, and it's that their HDMIs break really easy. Their HDMIs break really easily. And so I see a lot of PlayStations, and maybe it's just the PlayStation fan culture of just treating their consoles like garbage. I have no idea. But they just end up showing up.
I've seen some nasty videos, man, of cockroaches and crap.
Oh, I see cockroaches every other week.
Really?
I have videos on my phone.
I don't need to see that.
Hundreds of cockroaches just in one console. And I'm calling the customer and I'm like, bro, do you know that you have an infestation in your home? And I can kind of tell the type of person that has cockroaches in their PlayStation, and I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm going to move on to the I'm going to move on to, good Lord. I'm going to move on to how I feel about, Xbox not being a competitor to Sony, because Sony needs that push to really make themselves better. And you're completely right. They don't have anybody really crawling up their back, They're just doing their own thing. And they don't feel the need to be competitive, so they're just being mediocre, dude. They're resting on their laurels. And they've been resting on their laurels for a long time. Xbox One at least had some sort of presence where there was at least a debate happening between the two, but there is no longer a debate between the Xbox and the PlayStation on which one's more popular. And dude, the PlayStation 5 completely just obliterated the Xbox brand and made them switch into a Sega Dreamcast level of thinking, just the way that company's running itself now. We're a publisher now. We're putting our games on PlayStation. Sony's not doing that. You don't see Sony putting their video games on Xbox. They just don't do that. You're not going to see Uncharted or The Last of Us showing up on Xbox. If you do, then boom. But I don't see how Sony benefits from that besides a little bit of ROI, a little bit. It's not going to be the significance of PC ROI where they're just making tons of new players, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really am not going to be surprised if Sony follows suit in a couple years. I really am not, because these games, let's be honest, they're not going to magically look in the mirror and be like, yeah, we're spending too much on games. It's not going to happen. People talk this isn't going to happen. I don't want it to happen. This isn't me saying I want it to happen, but there is going to be a AAA crash. It's just a matter of time. It really is, and it's sad, but in reality, the development right now is just not sustainable. It's not. But for Sony, they're spending, hundreds of millions of dollars on these games. And it's like, it only takes one. It only takes one game to close a studio. Look at Concord. They spent
Oh,
hundreds of millions of dollars and it shut the whole studio down. They acquired that studio for that game and they shut it down. Didn't even launch. And I don't know, man. It's like, I think that in the next 2 years, PlayStation's going to move to day one PC drops. I really do. We've been moving that way. Helldivers, other games have launched day one on PC. Concord did, and then it died. But I think that, you're going to move to day one PC drops for Sony because they need the money. Yoshida said before he left Sony, he was like, we have to release remasters because that's the way we make our money to fund these other games. It's so expensive. And I think, they're going to have to look at it and be like, we're not making enough from PS5 or PC. And they might look beyond PS5 and PC. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think in the next 2 years, I would almost say I fully 100% believe that Sony will move to day and date with PC. And I think the backlash from that is going to be hilarious. And it's funny because Nintendo's never going to do that. Nintendo doesn't have to because they don't spend all this money on these games. They're
and
smart
they didn't
with
put
their money.
themselves in that position. Sony like slowly and surely put themselves in a position where they had to do PC. Like they did not have a choice. People are like, oh my God, Sony, what are you doing? How could you do this to us? You're betraying us. You told us that this wouldn't pop up on any other platform and I've already bought it. Like, bro, what are you upset about? I understand like you wanted your little exclusivity. You're attached to plastic, bro. It's plastic and metal. On top of that, bro, if you feel that way, if you're really on the Crumb side, this is everybody on the Crumb side. I'm not kidding. At me. If you're on the Crumb side and you're tripping over some, bro, if you're tripping over some Sony versus Microsoft stuff to this day, you're broke. Like, get a job. Like, because you shouldn't be this stressed out over, Sony posting games on PC. Like, they're going to do that. It's inevitable. They have to make money, bro. And you're right. They're going to start uploading stuff on Xbox as well. It's going to happen. You've convinced me of that reality. So
it's just business. I mean,
business.
I mean, that's, to be fair, that's what I went to school for. So, I mean, that's what's
exactly.
that's how I think.
It's just good
right?
business.
Right. But but it's like, I mean, this is, it's economics, it's economies of scale, it's all this stuff. But in reality, it's like, PlayStation cannot continue to succeed and deliver the ROI the way that they expect if they continue to release these games. Because yes, while Spider-Man is a popular enough IP that they can spend $300 million on a game and get a return on investment and some, that's not the case with every game. And they're gonna put their buckets just like they did with Concord. They're going to put their marbles in one bucket thinking it's a surefire success, and it's not going to be. And that's going to be a tough conversation for them to have, but I don't know. I think the PC day and date thing, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, this might be a reach. It really might be a reach, but oh man, something in me says that Death Stranding 2 might go day and date.
Whoa.
Might. I don't think it's going to happen because Sony has 0 games this year and they desperately need games to sell the PS5. But just in my opinion, I really that's the type of game I wouldn't be surprised in the future drops day and date. I really wouldn't. I mean, Lost Soul Aside's coming to PC day one.
Oh, dude, I knew that. I mean, I had a feeling just because there was a point in time where it seemed like it had left the PC space because it was originally supposed to come out on PC and PS4. And I was just super shocked when Sony bought it and they was just like, oh, it's just coming out on PS4. It's not coming out on PC. And then we got the PS5 and PC just reveal, which I was just like, that's how it should be. I don't think Lost Soul Aside is that big of a deal as these, Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy fans, my peers in the industry, thinks that it is. They're probably expecting it to be something crazy. They've been hyping it up for a long time. I don't think it's going to be that crazy, but it is another Sony game. At least it's somewhat first party. And, it's coming to PC day one. So, I mean, that's kind of the first example of, besides Helldivers, which is a multiplayer game, which they knew was going to give them crazy ROI. They knew that PC was going to
I don't know, bro. I think that from everything I've read and heard from the people I've talked to, I don't think anyone expected Helldivers to be as big as it was. Like,
Right.
I really think that they were
No,
expecting it
I
to just be a
didn't.
mild success, and I
I
mean,
didn't even. I'm
yeah,
not
I
trying to
was it
interrupt
was
you,
not
but
off my radar, and then I all of a sudden saw these people talking about it online, and it just blew up, man. It was like, wow.
yeah, it blew my
But
mind. I was like, where did this come from, bro? Like, I seen it and I'm like, oh, it's another Sony game. And then all of a sudden, this thing
yeah,
has like 200K concurrent on Steam. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is huge.
it was crazy. And I mean, even like games last year, like Stellar Blade is coming to PC in June.
Yeah, Shift Up said that
And
they think that's going to sell more on PC.
yep, well, and I guarantee you it will for mods, which
Hmm.
enjoy, I
Hmm.
guess. I don't know, man. But I'm like, I think that game will sell really well. You know, I didn't play it. I played the demo and thought the combat felt really weird. So yeah, but um, I think that's just another example. I mean, Sony's, you know, they know how important PC is. They've said that. They've said as much, right? I mean, they've said that all these games, you know, PC is a platform that's becoming more and more important for them. And I think, you know, as soon as NVIDIA of greed decides to make better graphics cards, I think we'll be better off. It's funny, by the way, because I literally said that I thought Blackwell was not going to be great because they're so focused on AI. And look what happened. And I mean, you look at RTX 5070 Ti, it's only like 5% maybe better than 4080 Super. I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's
That's
nuts.
ridiculous.
That's
It's kind of just
insane.
one of those things where it's like, I don't know, man. I actually, to be transparent, you know, I bought a 9800X 3D as my new processor for my new PC,
Goat.
and I've been really excited to get started on building it. I haven't bought a motherboard or anything else, but I've just been getting ready to build it. And you know, I'm graphics card's the only thing because it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know, man. I haven't bought a graphics card in so many years, but for whatever reason, I thought the market had cooled down. And you know, I go on eBay. It's like, yeah, 4080 Super, you're paying 1,500 for. It's like, I don't know how or why the market is so ridiculous. You know, it's impossible to find a 5000 series card. For quite frankly, I don't want them because they're going to explode and blow up my house. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what NVIDIA's idea was with having a single cable run and power 550 watts, or I think it's even more than that, the 5090. But it's ridiculous. I mean, it's so ridiculous. That's a piece of crap. I'm sorry.
Bro, how did they fit the
Um,
5090 in that tiny little thing, bro? Like, I
Dude,
don't even
I
get
don't.
it.
I mean, I'm not surprised they fit it in there. I mean, you know, it's just a chip. That's all it is. But what I'm concerned about is how the heck did you guys literally are you powering this with one cable, which is melting PSUs and it would blow up your house, and it's melting the graphics card too. I mean, I literally people were like, "Oh, this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen." I'm like, dude, I've seen like 7 different reports from 7 different people that this has happened to, where you know the actual connector inside the GPU has melted and started smoking because it draws so much power. I mean, I don't know, man. I think the AI stuff is so funny. Like NVIDIA, you know, you've made graphics cards for gamers your whole life of your company. And, you know, this series feels like you were totally looking past that and trying to make them obsolete by focusing on AI. And I think it's really going to come back and bite you in the behind because I don't know. I'm not interested in an AI card. I think DLSS is great. I think this new DLSS stuff is an embarrassment solely because I think that it's just going to promote, you know, games that are not optimized.
That's true.
Developers are going to be content with, okay, well, the game only runs at 7 FPS without DLSS, but with DLSS 4, you can get 74 FPS. So it's great. It's awesome. Like, I mean, that's what I feel
Dog.
like we're heading towards. I really do feel like we're heading towards that.
Yeah.
And there's great things with AI. You know, I think that there's definitely a negative stigma around AI. And, you know, I think that people have this idea of what AI is doing and this or that and all this stuff. And you know, I'm not negative on AI. I am firmly against riding with AI. And I can't believe there's people out there riding with AI. But beyond
Unbelievable.
that, you know, AI is ridiculous as a writing tool. That's such an embarrassment to everything. But you know, in terms of AI being used and incorporated into tasks to make things easier, I think that's where the future of AI is. And in terms of game development, I just think it's a really bad stigma and precedent to set going forward with, hey, you know what? You don't have to optimize your game and so it can run well on a raw power. You can just use AI and DLSS because we already see that today. It's like how many games release just unoptimized and crap, and you just have to rely. Oh, but you get good performance at DLSS. Like really?
It's so frequent, dude. Like raw rasterization is dead. Like Moore's law is dead, and it's all thanks to Jensen Huang. Thank you for killing Moore's law. We are no longer. How much deep learning super sampling can we get out of this thing? You know, like what's the next exclusive, DLSS 4 point whatever that we can put on whatever the next thing is so that everybody buys it. We won't let the older graphics cards use that. We want to make money. Let's make it exclusive. It started with the DLSS 3.0 when
really
the
did.
40 series came out, and the 30 series people couldn't use it. And it was a huge improvement, on DLSS. And then they have 4.0 that's exclusive. And I get that, Apple does the same thing, and I understand it. Sometimes it has a new chip and only that new chip can do it, but it's all proprietary. It's all arbitrary. They can do whatever they want. If they want to make something exclusive to something, they're going to do it, right? They have no issue with doing that. If that makes them money, they're going to do it. There's not a lot of backlash they can get. Clearly, the litigations don't matter. You're not going to be able to litigate them. They make the rules. So, enjoy spending an increasing amount of money on video games that get increasingly harder to run and relying on DLSS and FSR and XeSS for every single video game that comes out. I mean, enjoy that because that's where we're at. It's where we're headed. Raw rasterization is dead, bro. Moore's law is dead. Like it's all AI from this point forward. And yeah, if you're writing with AI, you're cooked, bro. Stop it. You're cooked. We will know. We already know. So, you're not hiding.
Yeah, it's pretty evident when people use AI to write. I mean, I just don't think it's ethical at all. And I think it's, I'm just saying in general, but I mean, we definitely can talk about our industry, being journalism. That's a whole other story. I mean, and the fact is that there's people in our industry using it too, which is crazy. But anywho, yeah, I don't know. I just think it sets a bad precedent. I really do. Like, I think that, just being able to not run a game because it's, they want you to use AI to generate 3 out of the 4 frames is just kind of dumb. I mean, I think there's great uses for DLSS. Like, I think the upcoming Switch 2 is a great use of DLSS because you cannot put raw hardware in that system and have it run efficiently with cooling. You just can't for the size that it is. And that's where DLSS will come in and actually make things possible. And I think that's a great use for it. But in terms of the GPUs and stuff, yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, man, I'm just trying to get one for MSRP, which is impossible at this point.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it's like this. It's been like this for a while. I mean, dude,
I feel like it's been like this for like
series.
years, man. Yeah, since Ampere. I feel like it really has. I mean, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. I thought it had cooled down, but apparently not.
No, it hasn't. Like I said, Moore's law is dead. The transistors, we're cooked. We're not doing it, bro. We're not doing it. Everything's getting gradually more expensive. Like not just slightly more expensive, like gradually more expensive. Yeah. It's crazy, man. And it's like whatever, inflation, but inflation really applies to food and housing and stuff like that. Like let's not put it in our games, bro. Like what is going on? We're spending so much money on deluxe editions, on ultimate editions. Hey, bro, you could play the game 3 days early. Aren't you excited for the real release date?
Thing.
Don't you?
God.
Guess what?
Okay,
if you got money, then you could play it before your friends who are broke.
Here's my thing with that. I don't understand why companies even market that stuff because, like, if you're playing 3 days early, then the actual release date of the game is when it drops early.
Correct.
Like, it's not the, like, if the game came out February 14th and early access was February 11th, the game comes out on February 11th. But the publishers pretend that it's the 14th. I don't get that. I really don't.
It's whack. It's whack,
but,
bro.
I mean, I kind of want to go back to State of Play.
Okay.
Because, I mean, just, there's some games that we've talked on a little bit, but I think we can get into it. Yeah, so, I mean, I the amount of Sonic fanboys I saw crying and screaming over what is it called? Reworlds or Crossworlds? Crossworlds. Crossworlds, I think, is funny. I'm glad people seem excited, even though there was like barely any gameplay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
We got like a little
I
7-minute thing
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's
recently.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I don't know. I played Team Sonic Racing and I thought it was really a really heavy racer. Um, so
Team
I don't
Sonic
know. I
Racing
mean,
is boo T, brother. I do not like that game. The thing is, the new Crossworlds, that looks like All Stars Racing Transformed. That looks like what the actual Sonic Racing game should be. Like that has everything I'm looking for in a Sonic Racing game, dude. Like some of the what are they called, bro? The weapons. Some of the weapons look really good. Like the one that cuts your car in half. It looks so cool. Anyway, I'm excited for it. You know, I am a Sonic fan. I'm not like a huge, crazy, rabid Sonic fan, but I do like Sonic. It
you don't
looks like
have
All Stars
toys
Racing.
and trinkets in your background.
I don't. I don't. I do have plushies, but they're all Mario and like Pokemon. Yeah, I don't have Sonic plushies. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have a
Oh
big Shadow
man.
the Hedgehog, life size toy.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. I like honestly, I don't like to be overly negative. Like, Sonic, happy for Sonic fans. It's great. Hopefully the game's good. I'm really scared because they said that, Sega, so it seems like there might be non-Sonic characters in it. So I'm like kind of scared we're gonna get like Kiryu in it.
Oh,
Although
he's gonna
apparently
look really
Kiryu's coming to
weird.
Fortnite.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I wonder what they're gonna do for like the music.
Oh, I just hope that they give Judgment. I want
Oh
Judgment. That Judgment is like the track. I want it as an emote so bad.
yes, yes,
Like the
I agree.
song. The song.
I know what you're talking about.
But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But no, that'd be fun. I don't know, man. But yeah,
Bakamitai.
yeah, right. I'm sure that Morgana is gonna be a character in Team Sonic Racing. I'm sure. I mean, who knows, man?
Morgana is wild. Oh, they're gonna have the Mementos map. Like, what are they gonna do? We're gonna be racing around Shibuya. Like, what are we
Yeah,
gonna do?
I don't know. They're gonna probably just actually, guys. It's actually Persona 5 Racing.
We need the Exoprimal map right now. Wait, that's Capcom.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not. That's I don't think that's Sega, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. That looks fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really interested how Lost Soul Aside ends up being.
Oh yeah. I mean, what if it's good?
I mean, I'll be honest. Like I thought, the trailer they showed, it looked cool,
Yeah, it
but
looks
I
cool.
feel like I feel like it did compared to the other Chinese games we've seen. I do think it has a unique flair, and you can definitely tell like the verses inspiration. But I don't know. Like when I was watching, I was like, if I definitely understand what you were saying, where like you don't think the game has a solid direction solely because like yeah, there was just so many random like locations, and I don't, you know what I mean? It's like I
Right.
didn't really catch a feel for what was going
The
on. I mean, I hope
description
it's
of it
good.
is weird because it's like he's
Yeah,
going through all these different dimensions. It just feels like I feel like he had an original vision of what he wanted to do, and it was gonna be like verses. Like I know this for sure. I know this for sure. The original vision of the game was not gonna be him jumping through a bunch of dimensions. Like there was probably there's no way because that's just so random. That's just an easy cop out to get the game out quickly because it had been in development for way too long. Like, yeah, let's just have him jump through a bunch of different little, just make the
I don't
maps look
know.
cool and have him
I
jump through it
mean,
and fight.
maybe that was the original idea. I mean, I don't know. I
I don't
wouldn't say
know.
that that's like to make development easier because honestly, I doubt that's the case. But I think that I
Not even
mean,
development, but just story that like I don't know if he was struggling with it, but it took a very long time to come out. They bought that game a very long time ago. And I mean, I can't imagine. Some of it looks a little jank, but overall, I think it looks cool. I can't imagine that it I don't know how big the team is at the moment for Ulti Zero, but I mean,
um,
do you
I
know?
think I think so. I I want to say that it's like 40. Yeah, okay. As of November 2022, over 40 employees.
Okay, so it's a fairly small team,
Yeah, it's a small team. I mean,
right?
but I just like I don't know. I mean, I'm really interested in that game, but that's also a game that like again, and this is no disrespect to Chinese or Korean developers, but I think a great example is Wukong. There's
Yes.
a lot of games that visually you're like, wow, 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 and they end up just being all right. And I'm just kind of, I'm apprehensive about Lost Soul Side for that reason. And, there's that other game, Tides of Annihilation, same thing. I mean, here's kind of my problem with, non-USA, and this goes for like European developers too, but like, non-American
Non-Western.
RPGs right now. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, sure. It's like most of these games that are coming out just look the same. They
They
all look
do.
the same. It's like I can't even tell you. They lump into like two categories of either being like Japanese feudal Japan inspired, or they're just kind of like you know oh yeah, like Western epic, like Tides of Annihilation and stuff like that. And it's like I don't know. They just all lump together for me. They all look the same. They're all action RPGs, and I don't know. It's like I don't know. I mean, I think that I hope that they all are successful, but I just feel like there's a lot of copy paste, it feels like, in my mind. And again, I might
Yeah.
be wrong in here, and that's totally fair, but from at least visually, a lot of these games just look so similar. It's kind of
It's
hard to
hard to tell
differentiate.
the difference
Yeah.
between these games, bro. The shiny, crystalline particle effects, just like all this just super pretty characters that just all look so similar. I feel like Tides of Annihilation seemed like it was a much higher budget than Lost Soul Side, at least from like some of the animation. Like the close-up
Yeah.
animation of the characters, like with the sword, and I thought it was Heavenly Sword at first. I was like, "What's going on?" you know. But it threw me off. I was like, "Oh crap, this is actually a video game. Like, what is happening in this game?" It looked like FF16 for a second, even with like the ice move that she did, and I guess they're
It
in
looked
London doing something.
very it looked very 16 inspired.
It did, yeah, it did. Surprisingly, 16 is inspiring people.
I'm not surprised about that. I mean, but if you're going to take after 16, don't make everyone believe it's this, RPG with deep RPG mechanics.
It does. It is nothing like that. Yeah, it definitely is not
Yeah,
that.
that's my biggest problem still with 16. It's like, I don't know, man. I think that game had a lot of great ideas. Had a lot of great ideas, but the quest structure, the RPG aspect of it and everything else was just not great. It really wasn't. So,
Yeah, I agree. Um, Tides of Annihilation kind of has this. I don't know. It looks like Elden Ring in some places, and then it looks like DMC in some places, and like it, like they have some stuff that just looks like copy paste, like Elden Ring cutscenes. With some of these like boss fights, it's crazy. Like some of this stuff looks like straight out of Elden Ring. Now, mind you,
yeah.
this game graphically looks better than Elden Ring, but that's not the point. FromSoft has a very clear understanding of what it is that they're doing with their gameplay. They've been doing it for a long time. Not to say that this game doesn't. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but it looks cool. I mean, I'm kind of looking at the footage right now, and I mean, it looks dope. But I am just not interested in all these copy paste games, and I sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, how can I be sure that when I see another trailer pop up on some stream, that it's that game or the other 20 games that I'm seeing? Oh my God, is that Tides of Annihilation? Oh my God, is that Chrono Odyssey? Oh my God, is that Crimson Desert? Like, which game is it? I don't know what it is. Like, they all look the
Yeah.
freaking same. They all look the
I mean,
same.
yeah, it's something I think that a lot of developers, and you have to remember, you know, a lot of developers, they don't just make these game ideas overnight. Like a lot of these games
Yeah.
that we're seeing now probably went into development in 2022 or somewhere around there. And so, that was a time Elden Ring had just come out, 16 was getting shown off. There was a lot of excitement for games like this. And then when everyone decides to do it, then we get stuck with stuff like this where everyone's releasing the same kind of games.
Yeah. Yeah. That one character looks just like Joshua and sounded like Joshua in this trailer with like the red like shawl or whatever. Like that looked
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, is that Joshua? Like what's happening?
I don't
Uh
know, man. I'll be honest, like for me, like in the state of play, the only games that I like thought looked really good, and I have a list here. So for me, the first one for me, I think has to be Split Fiction from Joseph Fares. It
Yeah,
Takes Two
Split
director.
Fiction looks
That looks
epic.
great.
I'm gonna buy
Looks
that
great.
for sure.
I've talked with a couple people that got to preview the game and just nothing but incredible thoughts. So I'm really excited for that one. I thought the Midnight Walk, that game that was made out of clay, looked really interesting. The horror one.
Yeah,
I thought that one looked really cool. I think Darwin's Paradox from Konami looks unique. I'm definitely interested to see more of that. Koei Tecmo continued their year of Koei Tecmo. Warriors Abyss, like a roguelike Warriors game, which is cool. So that's pretty funny. And then Capcom came out swinging with Onimusha, new trailer. I think that Way of the Sword looks great. I'm really interested to see how they really build on the dismemberment. We saw a little bit of it in the trailer, but
yeah.
I think that Onimusha coming back is really cool. Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid Delta. I know I said that backwards, but I'm really, really excited for that one. And then also, I think a game that went under a lot of people's radars. I mean, it's like the least viewed game out of State of Play yesterday. Dreams of Another. So it's
Yeah.
by the guy that directed Pixel Junk, but it looked really unique because they kind of built the game off of this really unique graphical style. But it's kind of based on the idea. He took guns and weapons and took it upon the idea of like, okay, what if they don't destroy things, but they create things? So you actually like shoot around the environment and stuff to build things in the world.
Yeah,
which
that was
is
very
really
interesting to me.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see more of that. But really beyond the games I listed, it's like nothing else really caught my eye. I mean, I think Saros is kind of whatever. I think a lot of people that love Returnal will be really excited for that.
Yeah.
For me personally, I mean, I just see this as Returnal 2. Like
That's what I
that's
thought it
basically what
was.
they
I was
said
like,
it
this
is.
is just
Yeah, me
Returnal
too.
2.
And
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's a new IP that is taking and building off of Returnal. So it's a sequel essentially, but a new IP. And I don't know. I mean, I think that there's definitely plenty of people that will be really excited for that, but to wait 5 years and basically just get a sequel, I mean, again, beyond the point, it's just like, I don't know. Like, it's going to be another third-person game, shooter, roguelike. Same thing. And I don't know. I don't know, man. I think that I feel in the minority here because I know so many people super excited for this. I thought the cinematic trailer was really cool, but it just really didn't get me excited to think that, like, okay, we're getting another game like Returnal. Because it's like, it's just not something new. It's new,
It's
but
not
it's
new.
not,
It's really not new. I thought they would have done something different instead of kind of. And this is another wow. This is just another studio that's playing it safe.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, and
it's
I mean,
just
to be
another
fair,
studio that's playing it safe.
yeah, to be fair, like you can definitely sit here and be like, okay, yeah, Housemarque, they're known for these roguelike games. That makes sense. But I'm also just like, I don't know, man. I miss when studios took risks, and it feels like with how high development costs are right now, no one's willing to take risks anymore. And I feel like we're just seeing that, the industry as a result be the way it is right now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I feel like that's another example, at least that game, for me, just overall Sony, because, they're kind of a part of Sony. Is that not a Sony studio?
Yeah, it is. They bought them.
Yeah, so that's just another example of like, hey, let's just do the same thing. Just do the same thing over again. Why do anything different when you already succeeded the first time? Just do it again. Do it again. Oh, Naughty Dog, don't do anything but this. Yeah, Neil Druckmann, just do this. And he makes that decision on his own.
Oh man, I could not be less interested in their new game.
Oh, Intergalactic, yeah. Intergalactic has a lot of branding, and I think he's trying to be a Kojima with all this branding, but Kojima just has way more swag with it. I'm sorry, like, the Porsche spaceship, that's cool. I'm a big fan of Porsche. It's my favorite car company, but like, I'll probably be buying one very soon. But I just am not interested in that game. Like it's just oh my God, it takes inspiration from Akira. Oh my God, like how did they animate her putting on the jacket? Like it's just, what are we talking about, bro? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? And why does she look like that? I mean, I don't know. Why is she like, she's just bald? I don't get it. I mean, it's cool. You know, she can look however she wants to look, right? I'm just not interested in the game. It hasn't caught my attention. It was saved for the end of the Game Awards. It was supposed to be some big thing. Oh my God, Naughty Dog, the greatest studio in the entire world, has a new video game, guys. Get ready. I'm crying just at the thought of even showing you guys this thing, right? And it's like, what is this, bro? What are we watching? Like,
I don't know. I just like, oh my God. I think I have so much that I could say. Like, I've I have so much I could say. I mean, I just like, I don't know, man. I don't know what Naughty Dog is doing, man. Like, I mean, to be fair, like, I don't think that the game, it's just a trailer. It doesn't show much off, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, the way that trailer came off, I'm just like, yeah, this game was made by Neil Druckmann.
like, dude, it was so obvious. It just has his essence all up in it. Like, there's no way that anybody else had any thought or input on that game but him. Like, that is all him, dude. Like, every single decision down to the
I don't know. I mean, the thing that I can't get out of my head, and again, dude, I've played games with people that look like, they picked up a piece of mulch from their garden to put some eyes on it, or they picked up a couple pieces of sand and whatever. My point is I play games with all kinds of protagonists and this or that. So this isn't like a negative comment on the protagonist or the actor portraying her, but it's just really funny because I remember, I went to the Game Awards and I was at the bar chatting with a couple people, and someone was like, man, I just can't get it out of my head. It's like, that girl at the end, she looked like Jeff Bezos. And I've just never.
The real actress is very, very beautiful. It feels like another Forspoken situation where they just take the actress and just make her look unusual. I don't know.
I mean, again, whatever. Like, I'm not sitting here telling you I like it or don't like it, but I'm just saying, like, that's literally been the only thing that I can relate that
she
game
doesn't
to.
have that much aura. I don't know. Like, Lightning, Claire Farron, that's a character with a lot of aura. Like, she just doesn't have a lot of aura. Where's the aura?
I don't know.
Where's the swag?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here, like, I think, there's that obnoxious group online that's like, why is she bald? How could they do this? She needs to look like this. Like, dude, they're gonna make people look however they want. I don't care about that. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just really wasn't interested in the trailer. Like, it just really didn't, like, the dialogue especially. Like, I'm like, bro, like, I just am not interested. Like, I'm really not, and I don't really care. I'm sure it's gonna have the incredible Naughty Dog gameplay that everyone loves, and it's gonna be like a movie, and everyone's gonna love it. But I just am like, I'm good, man. I'm good. Like, yeah, I think your comment about Druckmann wanting to kind of Kojima-fy his games is definitely fair. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak too negatively on anyone, but I mean, I don't think anyone can do what Kojima does. I don't. And I think the people that say he's overrated are hilarious.
Yeah, they're insane. I literally have people commenting saying that we're just yapping about Kojima too much. Like, what do you mean, dude? Are you kidding me? Are you for real? Like, wake up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kojima is an innovator. He is like the progenitor of a lot of things, bro. Like, there's a lot of people that are inspired by him, dude. He is 100% one of the most creative, just one of the most passionate. Dude, he has so much intellect and so much inspiration. Like, what we were talking about previously in one of the episodes of Weaponized, I cannot remember. We're on episode 5 now. When I was talking about, how you judge something is based off of what you know and what you, basically what you intake, right? And Kojima is into a lot of things. And we know this because he publishes this stuff on his accounts frequently. We know that he's consuming a lot of media, and he's taking all that inspiration and he's putting it into his. Yes.
I'm just saying, I'm ready for this weekend. Saw Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah, that's it. That's the tweet. That's it. That's what
Well,
he's gonna
to be
say.
fair, yeah, for those who don't know, kind of the ongoing joke is like if Kojima likes a movie, he writes an actual tweet about it, like, "Oh, I love this, that." If he doesn't like it, he just says "saw blank."
Yeah, he'll let you know he watched it, but he won't tell you anything about it. It'll. It's very clear when he doesn't like a film, and
Yeah,
sometimes he surprises me. Like he surprisingly, I think he likes Joker too, which I think is crazy.
the crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That movie
He
was terrible.
Yeah, he likes Cruella, which I agree with him on Cruella. That was like Disney's Joker. That was a very interesting film for me. I did not expect what I got going into Cruella. That is a different type of film. That is not the average Disney film, at least in the live action department. It's a completely unique movie. It's not really based on anything except for the character, you know. So I think he liked that movie. I remember him liking that movie. But here's what I'll say. Kojima is one of those people who has a lot of inspirations. He makes them very clear and he puts that into his media. Bro, the guitar weapon in Death Stranding
Oh
2,
my god, dude.
dude, I
Oh my
rewatched
God.
that like maybe about 6,000 times. I do not know. I probably rewatched that as many times as I've played KH1 through. Like, dude, I can't even imagine how many times I've seen it because the score in the video,
It's
like
Ludwig,
it's nuts.
bro. Ludwig
Yeah.
Forcell.
Yeah.
I mean, because he didn't. That score for Death Stranding is incredible.
Yeah.
But BB's theme especially, and so for them to remix it like that, and the fact that like he plays BB's theme on the guitar to attack. I mean, it's just there's no one else. You can hate Kojima, you can hate his games. There's no one else doing what he's doing in the industry. There just isn't.
Yeah, he's taken serious risks. You want to talk about taking risks? That's the only risk that Sony has taken is helping him promote his video games. Like that's the risk because he's a legend. You know, if he wasn't a legend, he wouldn't be able to do that. You know, he wouldn't be able to drop a Death Stranding and just have a game where people think it's just walking forever. You know, like he wouldn't be able to do that. He wouldn't have the funding. Nobody
No.
would be like, oh my God, like if that wasn't Kojima, and I'm not saying it wouldn't be good if it wasn't Kojima, it would still be good. It would be the same game. Right. But it's that he's willing to do whatever he wants to tell his vision in the way that he wants to tell it. You know, I have friends that hate Trigun Stampede. And I'm like, bro, first of all, the original Trigun run is not even really on point with the manga to begin with. It's like, oh my God, Knives is shown too early or whatever, you know? And I'm like, dude, just accept the story for how it's being told because it's great. And that's how they're telling it. You know, people go into stories and go into video games and movies expecting the story to be told a specific way, especially when it's a remake. This goes for FF7 as well, right? They go in expecting it to be told and displayed and presented in a certain way. And then when it's not, you know, they're like, what is going on? You know, like that's how the remake of Trigun is. Like Stampede is not anything like the original Trigun. It's actually very different. And there's people that love it and there's people that despise it. And I don't understand it. You know, it's just like, stop expecting it to be a carbon copy of the original. That'd be incredibly boring. We already have that, bro. Why would we just make the same thing over again? I'm not interested in remakes that are just going to redo what's already been done. You know, add some elements to the game that are different, you know?
I totally agree.
You know, that I almost said Death Stranding, Delta, Metal Gear Solid, Delta, Snake Eater. That's going to be great, you know, but it's probably going to be the exact same game. And that's cool. That's
But it
cool.
should be.
It should be. They should not mess with Kojima's vision whatsoever. They should, you know.
They shouldn't like if you remake one of those games and it's like, you know, if they're doing Snake Eater, if this is a huge success, Konami's going to continue probably, and we're going to get Delta for 1 and 2.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't a huge success. A lot of people are excited for it.
100%. I haven't seen this much excitement for like a game like this in a long time. Like people are stoked. I mean, even people that I talk to that buy 2 games a year are excited for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be huge. And Silent Hill was a huge success. I just hope Konami starts making new games. But in regards to the Metal Gear series, and even going forward, you do not touch it. You do not. Like if you're going to bring those games, you remake it.
Yeah.
No, you don't make any. You can't make any new games. You just can't. I mean, it's done. Metal Gear's done. And it's unfortunate because I definitely think there were more stories to tell, but it's done. You just can't. I mean, it's just not. you, even with the fallout they had with Kojima, I just don't think that you can it's disrespectful to his work to continue it. It's done. So if they remake it, you can't add anything new. You just need to make it 1-to-1, which I think they're doing, and I appreciate them for doing. So the team that is behind it in all the interviews have been like, we want to be as faithful to the original as possible. So it's nice to see. I think they're going to do a great job, and I think it's going to be received really well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Remake culture is interesting because, you brought up FF7. There's a lot of people that have different things and, different perspectives on this and that about that game. And, I remember going into Remake, everyone was just, oh, we want a 1-to-1 remake. Then the end of Remake is like, oh, there's this unknown journey. And so everyone wants something completely different from the original game. You play Rebirth, and although this is controversial, apparently, I feel like 95% of the signs point towards the game ending the same.
Right.
And I think people are very upset about that. And it's just kind of funny how the pendulum swings. But I
Yeah.
don't
Oh my
know.
God. It needs to be like the
It's funny.
original. Oh my God. Why is it like the original?
Well, to be fair, I do think that there is a large group, I would say a large group online, right? There's a large group online that wants a different ending and has believed in a different ending for a certain character, and that has driven all thought and processing behind the game and the trilogy. So, things that might seem so obvious to the average player are going to be interpreted differently by people because of desiring a certain outcome. So, I think that plays into it. But yeah, I don't know. I think remake trilogy is a very interesting thing to look on, and I definitely think it's going to be really interesting to look back on because I've seen a lot of people, actually like pretty big YouTubers, be like, this will be the most disappointing project ever if it ends the same. And now I keep seeing the same people be like, oh, well, it's going to end the same. It's like, which one is it? Which one is it? I don't know. Beyond the point. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, perception behind remakes and stuff will continue to emerge and really be something that will, I think, be interesting to look at for years to come. But I think that'll about do it for this episode of Weaponized. And, thank you guys so much for listening or watching, tuning in. And, be sure to let us know, what you thought about PlayStation's state of play this week, what you think about the future of the company, and anything else. We'll be happy to answer your questions, of course, in next week's episode. But until then, we'll catch you next time.